Welcome to another episode of the Main Street Spotlight. I'm Republican Main Street Caucus Vice Chair Laurel Lee, and my guest today is one of our Main Street Caucus members, Congressman Tim Moore of North Carolina. For those just getting to know Main Street, we are a caucus of Republican members who like to get things done. The Main Street Video Spotlight Series is one way you can meet our members who are fighting for you and making sure Washington works for you. Welcome to the Spotlight, Tim.
Thanks. Good to be with you, Laurel.
So I'd love to get started by you telling us just a little bit about your district, what it's like, and what brought you to Congress.
Sure. I represent the 14th Congressional District, which is in western North Carolina. For those who are somewhat familiar with the geography of North Carolina, it's the area essentially between Charlotte and Asheville. And so that's my home, born and raised there, and honored and proud to be representing that area in Washington.
Sounds like a very beautiful place. Tell me a little bit about the people that you represent. What type of industry or business or things is your district known for?
Yeah, so it's honestly pretty varied. So I have parts of the city of Charlotte, which is home to so many of the large financial institutions here in our country. So we have a great deal of manufacturing there, but then also in the more rural counties as you go west, we have the mountains. We actually had some of the mountains that were damaged significantly. The communities that had a lot of damage in Hurricane Helene. Very proud, by the way, of the work that we've all done to get relief back there. But you name it, you can just about find it in my district. But it's one of the fastest growing areas of North Carolina as well.
So tell me this, you brought such an interesting background to Congress. Is it correct that you were the longest serving Speaker of the House in North Carolina before you ran for Congress?
Yeah, I guess nobody else wanted the job, right? No, 10 years as Speaker of the State House, was honored to have that job. I'd served a total of 22 years in the state legislature. And then this opportunity came up with a series of litigation and the redraws. And apparently in North Carolina, we are so great at redistricting, we just do it every 2 to 4 years, it seems like, because of all these lawsuits. But the opportunity opened up, and I knew that I had, felt like I had sort of checked the boxes at the state legislature, was ready to move on and do something different, and decided that turned down some pretty good private sector opportunities because I really still wanted to serve. And I tell you, just like you and so many, I see our nation at a crossroads of where I see folks on the far left where they want to take us, not in a good direction, and the direction that we as Republicans want to move in. And I want to be a part of doing that and continuing public service, and so glad that I'm here, glad every day.
How did your work in state politics prepare you for the job you're doing for your constituents now in Washington?
Well, I think, of course, understanding the need to answer to constituents, right? Understanding that it's the folks back home who sent you in my old job to Raleigh and now here to Washington, and the importance of getting back with them and making sure you take care of constituent service. That's the top priority in my office every day. That is first and foremost what we deal with. Are we taking care with folks who have, whether it's Medicare, whether it's VA, disability, you name it, taking care of folks who need help. So that understanding as a legislator has been very invaluable as we've gotten here. I mean, your experience, you represent at the state level, you know that. You got to take care of the folks who sent you here.
Absolutely. That is such an important role for all of our offices. So one thing that is also interesting is what brought you to the Main Street Caucus? We've got a lot of different caucuses and things that we can join when we come to Congress. What is it about the Main Street Caucus that made you decide to become a member?
Really, a lot of the other members who I speak to all the time, and I was talking to before being a member, but talking about a lot of the issues that need to be dealt with, a way to really try to be here and be serious about governing. I'm here like with a lot of my colleagues. I got to say, of our freshman class, I think of our freshman class, all the members really seem to be very serious about governing, about getting things done. It's great to be able to give speeches, right? It's great to be able to have these lofty goals that we all want. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to govern. You got to be able to take those ideas, put those into legislative action. And I really think that Main Street Caucus has done a good job of fine-tuning that to have us in a position where we can govern and deal with some of the pressing issues of the day.
So speaking of legislative priorities, you serve on the Financial Services Committee and the Budget Committee, is that right?
That's correct.
So tell me a little bit about what those committees are working on and what your legislative priorities are.
So financial services was very important for a number of reasons. One, since I do have Charlotte in my district and so many financial institutions headquartered there, that was very important. Second, if you look at the transforming economy we have right now with the move to digital assets, with so many things happening within the banking community, outside the banking community. I mean, just think about the way folks do their finances right now. If I'm looking at the camera talking to folks, how many people go to the bank versus having a mobile device where you do things? Everything's transforming. We need to make sure that our laws and our regulations are keeping up with where we are for an economy, where we are through technology. So incorporating AI, incorporating the digital assets, cryptocurrency, et cetera. It is an absolutely fascinating committee to serve on because it is key as our nation's economy moves forward and as we participate in the global trade. And so it's been fascinating being on that committee. And it's, a lot of it doesn't get covered in the media so much. I mean, it's not like you're on judiciary, right? When you guys meet and the fireworks are firing, the cameras are rolling and all the excitement. Generally not so much in financial services, but the work that we're doing.
We're glad for that.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Because substantive things are happening. Of course, the budget committee, we set that framework for the budget, then goes to the appropriations, to ways, et cetera, then comes back for us to make sure that it fits within the four corners of the instructions the budget committee gives. And I think it's been actually a very fascinating process.
Okay, so now I have a fun question for you.
All right.
I understand that you have traveled the country in a suburban van and that you visited almost all of the different state capitals. Is that right?
Yeah, so one of my things I enjoy are road trips. Although I got to say, the road trip from home to Washington, D.C., I do not recommend to anybody unless you like to sit in this parking lot called Interstate 95. But yes, I've traveled every state in the country by road trip, with the exception, of course, of Hawaii and Alaska. That you got to fly to those. I've been there, but didn't drive them. The only state I've missed so far, Laurel, is North Dakota. But I'm going to go this summer. Julie Fedorjak's having an event, so I'll be in North Dakota, and I can check number 50 off. Probably won't drive that one though, but I've driven the country probably 4 different times on different road trips, and it's the best way to absolutely see the country. And your home state of Florida, I absolutely love. I've been from the Panhandle all the way down to Key West and all the points in between.
That's its own road trip.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tim. It was a pleasure to get to talk to you. And that is a wrap for this edition of the Main Street Spotlight. Thanks to each of you who are watching. Know that we are fighting for Main Street and for you every day here in Washington.